enigmatic echoes. Today, we will explore one of the most magical countries in the world, Russia. For a long time, Russia has been known as a major cultural center of Europe and the globe, distinguished by its rich history and unique cultural heritage. But besides that, Russia also hides countless mysteries and strange things that not everyone knows. From thrilling theories to unique customs and traditions, every small corner of this country contains fascinating stories. Let's delve into the mysterious world of Russia with enigmatic echo and discover the strange and puzzling things found only here. Don't forget to watch the video so you don't miss any interesting details. National Sex Day. This is a Russian holiday, also known as Conception Day or Reproduction Day. It takes place on September 12th every year and is popular in the Ulyanovsk region, the homeland of Leader Lenin. This is the day when Russian workers get time off to have children, and it has proven effective. Because in June each year, the birth rate in Russia is significantly higher than other months. Also in Russia, many childbirth records have been set. For example, the woman with the most children in the world is Russian. Her name is Valentina Vasily, who lived in the 18th century. She gave birth to 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. A total of 69 children over 40 years with the same husband. This is something few women in the world have achieved. Truly admirable, isn't it? The Russian capital is famous for having more billionaires than any other city in the world. Currently, 79 world billionaires live in Moscow, Russia's capital. This information has been confirmed by Forbes. This is not too surprising, as many believe the dense presence of Rolls-Royce cars on the streets is evidence of this interesting fact. There are many reasons why billionaires choose Moscow as their residence. From climate and culture to political security, all are excellent. Surely, if it were you, you'd also want to live in such a civilized capital. Let alone billionaires, right? Russia is the largest country in the world, twice the size of the United States, and even larger than the surface area of Pluto. This vast country spans 14 time zones and has an incredible diversity of people and culture. Among them, the Moscow Kremlin is the largest fortified medieval complex in the world. It also has the largest church and a cannon inside. Notably, the subway in St. Petersburg is considered the deepest subway system in the world. Its average depth reaches 100 meters. Additionally, the Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway system in the world, crossing 8 time zones. This railway has a total length of 9,289 kilometers and has branches connecting to Mongolia and China. Essentially, this means you can travel by train from Moscow, Russia's capital, to Beijing, China's capital, easily via this route. The coldest inhabited town. The coldest inhabited place on Earth is a small village on the Siberian tundra in Russia, named Oymyakon. If you think sub-zero Celsius is too cold, living in this village, you'll experience harsh winters where temperatures sometimes drop deeply too. The temperature is still at minus 67 degrees. The average winter temperature here is around minus 50 degrees Celsius. Currently, only about 500 people dare to live in such harsh conditions. When most activities come to a halt when winter arrives, it is known that photographer Amor Trebo from New Zealand came here to document the harsh life in this place. He experienced cold that can be fatal within just a few hours. Trebo comes from Yakutsk City, the coldest city in the world, in Oymyakon, the coldest inhabited area in the world, but for him it was still torture. A staple food for the people of this town in winter is frozen meat, because the land cannot grow anything in winter. Telephone lines and car engines hardly work in this weather. Even cars must be kept in heated garages to avoid damage. Most of the time, people stay indoors. Outdoors is usually dark, and daylight hours are only about 3 hours. However, in summer, daylight hours can reach up to 21 hours. The temperature also rises to an average of 23 degrees Celsius. So if it were you, would you dare to live in such a cold and harsh city? Russia is always ranked among the territories with the most beautiful women in the world. Besides the reason of having a vast territory, stretching from Asia to Europe, making the people here possess an irresistible Eurasian beauty blend. The women here themselves also have their own secrets, contributing significantly to making Russia a powerful name on the world beauty map. For example, they often apply natural ingredients available for facial treatments, instead of using packaged masks on the market. Women from the birch land use egg yolks, fresh milk, yogurt, and even butter to nourish their faces. These ingredients are believed to help soften the skin and effectively remove wrinkles. Additionally, they cleanse their skin with cucumber juice, because cucumbers contain a certain amount of acid that helps cleanse and brighten the skin. Russian women also dislike using soap or facial cleansers that can easily irritate the skin. Instead, they use rose water, wild rose, or chamomile for deep cleansing. Moreover, Russian women have an extremely special beauty secret for their faces, which is using both hands to gently pat the face, cheeks, and forehead to restore blood circulation, enhance skin moisture, and shrink pores. Even though it may seem mystical, this method has been proven through many generations, and truly helps the women's skin here remain rosy and bright. Furthermore, Russian women consider bathing not only as cleansing the body, but also as an important step to keep the skin all over the body moisturized, smooth, and healthy. In Russia, steam bathing in both dry and wet forms is very popular. However, to avoid skin damage, the temperature of Russian steam rooms is considered lower than usual. While bathing, Russian women often massage their bodies with herbs or special brushes. They also combine exfoliation during bathing with a mixture of sugar and honey to gently remove dead cells and provide natural moisture to the skin. These are all interesting secrets that most Russian women apply to stay young and beautiful, and deserve the title of the most beautiful women in the world. The art city of St. Petersburg is the most famous tourist destination in Russia. You must definitely visit the Winter Palace, a World Cultural Heritage Site, with over 4 million valuable artworks of the Russian nation. The Winter Palace attracts millions of tourists from all over the world to admire the famous works of humanity. At the Summer Palace, you will be captivated by the fountains over 300 years old. Construction began in 1714, covering 1,000 hectares, including 7 parks, 20 castles and palaces, and 140 fountains. You will once again immerse yourself in the opulent and magnificent space of the palace, and admire the skilled hands of Russian artisans. Additionally, there are many grand palaces, fortresses, and art museums in St. Petersburg for tourists to freely visit, take photos, and capture memorable moments in this World Heritage City. This place is also likened to a second Venice, a splendid city of Russia. The far north occupies 2/3 of Russia's territory but has few inhabitants. The concept of the far north appeared in the Soviet Union in the 1930s to identify remote areas with difficult living conditions. Most of these areas lie within the permafrost zone. Here, the land is infertile and winters are harsh, especially with rugged terrain, and no transportation connecting to other localities. These areas include Zavolya in the far east. However, administratively, the far north includes more territories. They are not only distributed in northern Russia. Specifically, this region includes part of the Ural Mountains in southern Siberia, along with some areas of Tuva and Altai. Additionally, there are areas equivalent to the far north marked in blue on the map. Thus, the area of the far north, including equivalent regions, accounts for about 70% of Russia's territory. Despite its vast area, the far north has fewer than 12 million Russian residents, meaning it only makes up about 7% of the country's population. Interestingly, the far north is home to many people from ethnic minorities, such as the Pomo, Yakut, Tuva, and many other ethnic groups. They have maintained traditional lifestyles for hundreds of years. However, cities in the far north are gradually becoming sparsely populated. It is known that during the Soviet era, people came here for high incomes, as salaries for specialists were 5 to 6 times higher than in central Russia. Many cities and villages were built near mineral mining areas, but after the collapse of the Soviet Union, they fell into decline. Currently, residents are moving to warmer areas and selling their homes. Currently, in the city of Vorkuta, a two-room apartment with repairs costs about 200,000 rubles, nearly $2,700. Equivalent to the price of 1 square meter of housing in the suburbs of Moscow. In the suburban villages of Vorkuta, the cheapest prices start from 30,000 rubles, or $400. However, the population of Salakert city in the Yamal region increases annually as many locals do not want to leave. Located in the Ural Mountains in western Russia, there is a lake known as the Death Lake. That is Lake Karachay, where no living creature can survive. This lake once held many eerie secrets, with a calm appearance and deep blue water. Looking like an ideal place to rest, but Karachay was certainly not safe in the 1990s, as even standing nearby could be fatal. Looking back at history, from 1951 to 1953, it was a storage site for radioactive waste from Chernobyl 65, the nearby nuclear waste processing plant. At that time, Lake Karachay was renamed Reservoir B9. According to reports from the One World Institute, based in Washington, D.C., Lake Karachay is ranked as the most polluted place on the planet. The measured radiation level here is 4.44 exabecquerels, nearly equivalent to the entire distribution level over a larger area. After years of the disaster of Norman. Additionally, the World Resources Defense Council stated, the lake is so polluted it could kill a person within 1 hour. However, the lake began to dry out in the 1960s. Accordingly, a drought occurred in 1968. Combined with strong winds blowing in, carrying radioactive dust out of the basin and land, severely affecting the health of 500,000 people in nearby areas. Therefore, experts warn people not to approach Lake Karachay to avoid painful deaths. Along with that, local authorities decided to seal the lake, turning Karachay into a coffin with massive concrete blocks. This sealing process lasted over 40 years and was completed in November 2015. Vodka is one of the most popular alcoholic drinks in Russia, as well as in many other countries around the world. The name of this drink originates from the Russian word voda, which means water. Because of this, people here consume this alcohol indiscriminately. Additionally, Russians do not consider beer an alcoholic beverage. It wasn't until 2013 that beer was recognized as an alcoholic drink. According to statistics, the average Russian consumes about 18 liters of alcoholic beverages per year, twice the dangerous level that the human body can tolerate. It's estimated that about 500,000 people are affected annually due to alcohol-related, and perhaps for these reasons, about 25% of the Russian population dies before age 55. Matryoshka dolls, symbols of Russia, originated from Japan. When mentioning Russian cultural symbols, people often immediately think of Matryoshka dolls. This Russian symbol has only existed for just over a century. The first Matryoshka doll was introduced in 1890 at the Children's Education Workshop in Moscow, crafted by artisan Saba Mamontov. To this day, no one knows the exact origin of this type of doll. However, according to legend, Matryoshka was produced based on the model of a sage statue from Japan. In December 1896, at a Japanese art exhibition in Russia, people couldn't help but be amazed and delighted by the 7 progressively smaller statues of a Buddhist sage named Fukuruma, brought from Honshu Island. However, many believe that although originating from Japan, these statues were actually created by a Russian billionaire. Artisan Mamontov said he drew inspiration from the strange Japanese statues, and combined the image of a woman based on an old Russian fairy tale. The story tells of deep family affection when a child in the family got lost in the territory of fierce wolves. The older sister saw her sibling from afar, and together with her grandmother and mother, ran after the little girl to the wolf's den to bring her home. The name Matryoshka is also a mystery because no one knows who first named the doll, and why it was named that way. Matryoshka is a meaningless word, but linguists have found its related origin in Latin, meaning mother. Perhaps because the image contains progressively smaller dolls inside that it has such a meaningful name. A set of Matryoshka dolls has no limit on quantity. Inside the doll, there can be from 2 to 60 smaller dolls, painted with various colors. The first perfect Matryoshka set was made by Vasily Zabyazdachkin and painted by artist Sergei Valyutin, consisting of 8 dolls, from the outer mother to the older sisters. Each statue holds a different item like a basket, sickle, porridge bowl, broom. The 5th statue is a boy, followed by 2 younger sisters and finally a baby still in diapers. What's special is that despite thriving with high customer demand, Matryoshka dolls are still handmade using traditional processes. Common types of wood used to make the dolls are pine, birch, linden, and aspen. The manufacturing process starts with the smallest innermost doll, then gradually to the lower body parts that fit tightly together, and finally the doll's head is designed to fit the body. When making these parts, artisans typically don't need to measure but estimate by eye and their professional skills. After being carved into the correct shape, these dolls are soaked in oil to preserve the tone and prevent cracking. Finally, the dolls are painted with color powder or watercolor. Although the name and origin of Marchotka are not entirely clear, Marchotka dolls, with their meaningful images and vibrant colors, remain a symbol of Russia and the best souvenir whenever tourists visit this beautiful birch country. The deepest freshwater lake in the world. Hidden deep in the Siberian mountains of Russia, Lake Baikal is the deepest and largest freshwater lake in the world by volume. It is so large that it can hold 22% of the planet's freshwater supply. Moreover, it is also the oldest lake in the world, formed about 25 million years ago when a giant rift opened in the Eurasian continent. Lake Baikal is often called the Pearl of the World, highly regarded for its pristine beauty and unique nature. With an estimated depth of 1,642 meters, Lake Baikal is by far the deepest lake in the world. Russian scientists and explorers have been dazzled by the sheer scale of Lake Baikal for centuries. On the Trans-Siberian Railway route that passes by the lake, you will have the chance to admire its impressive beauty throughout the 4 seasons. From the slanted bolted bushes, vibrant green spring trees, to the frozen lake surface and magnificent ice caves, Lake Baikal is considered one of the most peaceful places in the world. It is home to thousands of species of flora and fauna, many of which are endemic, and was recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1996. A wedding in Russia usually takes place after Christmas and lasts until the farewell to winter festival. It is also called Federning, but nowadays, young people's weddings often occur in spring, late summer, or autumn. Modern weddings still tend to be long, and typically in Russia, the wedding ceremony takes place in a church. However, according to Russian law, the wedding can only proceed after the bride and groom have registered their marriage at the civil registry office. For Russians, the wedding is a very beautiful and emotional ceremony. During the wedding ceremony, the bride and groom vow to always be faithful in times of hardship as well as in happiness. Russians believe that afterward, the couple will have a deeper awareness of their interdependence and will live together for a long time because the Orthodox Church does not allow divorce. Interestingly, before proceeding with the marriage registration, the groom must redeem the bride from the guests according to tradition. He also has to undergo challenges, which are a series of small contests. At the end, the groom traditionally has to pay off all the attendees with money and gifts. According to Russian tradition, the wedding dress, rings, and shoes for the bride are all bought by the groom. The bride's family only needs to provide the dowry to the bride. That includes a set of bed linens, bowls and chopsticks, and antique. Additionally, on the wedding table, there must be dishes made from poultry meat, symbolizing a happy family life and peaceful coexistence. The baked goods on the wedding day in Russia are called konik, made from rice paper or plain dough, with mushrooms, chicken, rice, or other fillings. Russians are very superstitious, quite different from the perception of a Western atheist country, from petting dogs. But notably, they only use their left hand to pet dogs. Moreover, to successfully make a wish, you must throw a coin into Peter the Great's boot. Another superstition in Russia is how they choose the location to build their houses. And they believe that the first person to enter the house will be the first to die. So to counteract this, they let a cat enter the house first. If the cat does not enter the house, they will immediately demolish it and build another one. When you arrive in Russia, you will be welcomed with a special welcoming ceremony. Every guest will receive bread and salt on a tray covered with an embroidered towel. At that point, you should bow down and kiss the bread to reciprocate the host's kindness. This is a unique cultural feature in Russia. The custom of welcoming guests with bread and salt has been familiar to Russians for a long time. In the 16th century, Russian royalty sent bread and salt to their guests during meals. Accordingly, bread symbolizes affection, while salt symbolizes love. The combination of bread and salt plays a particularly important symbolic role. Bread expresses a desire for wealth and prosperity. Salt protects people from the influences of enemy forces. Welcoming guests with bread and salt means the relationship between guest and host is friendly and full of trust. Bread and salt. Offering bread and salt is a welcoming ritual in parties. Russians believe that bread and salt are precious sources of sustenance for people, and humans cannot live without salt. It is for this reason that this interesting custom came into being. Dear friends, we have just explored interesting things about Russia together. A vast and mysterious country, not only famous for its majestic scenery but also for its rich culture. Russia is also known as one of the cleanest countries in the world. More interestingly, there are at least 15 unnamed provinces, and even native Russians do not know their exact locations. This shows that, although Russia has the largest area in the world, there are still many things yet to be discovered. The unique records and laws here will surely surprise us. So what about you? What do you think about this country? Please leave your opinions and feelings in the comment section below. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel to follow other interesting discoveries in the future. And now, goodbye and see you in the next videos. Subscribe to the Gi and Mi Go channel so you don't miss exciting videos.